guys, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Phil at the Hungry Flight Attendant. Thank you guys, first of all, for those that have been following the last 3 weeks, and this is already our 4th week of doing this, so thank you very much for following. Before we get started, I wanted to just ask you if you want to post a picture of your meal by the time we're done, and I'll mention it again at the end. When you sit down with your family or you're sitting down having dinner this evening, take a picture of yourself eating and throw in the hashtag cooking with Phil or hashtag cooking together, okay? And we'll be able to post it on Facebook, okay? So let's get started with today's recipe, which is going to be a vegetarian chili. As I posted this week as well on Facebook, as we're coming up to Cinco de Mayo, even though chili is not a real Mexican dish, I'm going to make a margarita tonight to kind of commemorate Cinco de Mayo, so we'll throw in that as the chili's cooking. So let's get started. I'm assuming, because I did mention in the recipe that, or in the ingredients, that we were to have things chopped. If you didn't, we're going to do it together. I'm doing it at the same time here, just to help you guys. For those of you aren't quite sure, at least you can keep up. Okay, so we're going to chop up the onion. Doesn't have to be as fine as it was with some of the other meals, because it's a chili, so I like it kind of chunky anyway. And since there's no meat in this, we need to have, or I like to have, a little more chunky vegetables, okay? So, little slits down the middle, keeping the root attached like I mentioned a few weeks ago. That way it stays in one piece. Any little extra pieces we can just cut out, okay? Onion, garlic, carrots and celery will go first with the onion and garlic, and then we will add the peppers. Actually, we'll add the spices before with the onions, celery, and garlic.
Tara said she's already organized this week. She's drinking her gin and tonic because everything was prepped.
Perfect. So enjoy. A few of the comments in the past were that it was a little difficult trying to keep up. So this way, if you're prepared, you can just watch, maybe learn some of the knife techniques. Okay, and the celery, again, chunky, but I don't want it that chunky, so I'm going to cut these in half, and the bottom piece in 3. That's too much. Now, if you notice, there was eggplant in this recipe. I'm sure some of you were like, eggplant, I don't know. But I've used eggplant in my vegetarian chili just because it gives it a little bit of a meaty texture. I actually throw it in sometimes in my meat chili as well, because it, again, gives you an extra vegetable. You hardly notice it's there. So we will do that with the eggplant. I didn't mention skin on or skin off. It doesn't really matter if you took the skin off, which is what I'm going to do. The eggplant will just dissolve a little more or break down into the chili, where with the skin you might have a little more, you might feel the eggplants a little more. So if you have little kids, maybe peeling would have been a good idea if they don't like eggplant. I might not use all this carrot, actually. It's quite a bit. You can use as much or as little carrot as you like, but I find the carrot will add a sweetness that I'm not necessarily going for in a chili, so I'm just gonna maybe put slightly more than this half. It's quite a big carrot. Carrot we're going to use. So you can use the whole, if you have a big carrot and you want to use the whole thing, go ahead. Just note that carrots are sweet. It'll make your chili a little bit sweeter. If you don't mind that, go ahead. I personally don't want my chili to be too sweet. So all right, we're going to get this on. If your stove takes a little while to heat up, maybe now's a good time to turn on your burner. So you got a nice amount of vegetables. Yeah, I'll put a little more carrot. And we'll give that to the boy. Now it's important that the carrot is also cut to a size that, because it's more dense, it will take a little bit longer to cook than, say, the celery or the onion. So you want it to be small so that it cooks at the right, or is ready, it's not too crunchy. Okay, so let's...
Alexandra North said she loves all your recipes.
Oh, thank you. Olive oil in the pot. Now if you're noticing in that pot, white fat in there as well. There was some bacon cooked this morning. So this vegetarian chili is now going to have a little bacon flavor to it. I often like to use the bacon fat when I cook. It adds a nice flavor. So if it's a true vegetarian meal, I just ruined it. But since we're not vegetarians in this house, little bacon fat will go a long way in adding flavor. So carrots, celery, onion, garlic, ready to go in. And we will add the spices shortly after to cook with the vegetables.
Paul says you're a stud.
Okay, let that go a little bit. Now, my spices that we're using today, chili powder, which I made a few weeks ago. This chili powder has garlic, oregano, paprika, cumin, chipotle powder. If you don't have chipotle powder, it's a little bit spicy and smoky, so I won't put a lot of that. You can use smoked paprika as well. That will add a little bit of smoky flavor, not a whole lot, but it won't be spicy. And then cumin seeds, I always have whole cumin seeds as opposed to ground. I just find the flavor is a little more pungent. I'm going to use about a tablespoon. I might add more. I love the flavor of cumin. So you can see if you have a spice grinder, it doesn't have to be fully ground up. I'll grab a wooden spoon here. Let that go for a little bit. You can put the lid on if you want, just to keep some of the moisture in. And turn it down to about medium. And let that go. I'm going to cut the peppers up, and then I will add the spices in about 30 seconds to a minute. Peppers, I already cut these up. These peppers were getting a little old, so I separated the parts that weren't so good. And I got about 1.5 peppers here, and I have a yellow pepper there that I'm going to add as well if I need. So you can check if you need to check on the carrots and celery that are going in there now. Go ahead And now's the time where we can add the cumin and the chili powder and the chipotle to work. We can come back to the peppers. It's good. So I've got a tablespoon of cumin. Tablespoon of chili powder. I'll just put about a teaspoon of the chipotle powder. As I said, it's quite spicy. Okay. And we'll taste it and see at the end. Maybe I'll add a little more cumin to it. And oregano. Again, about a little bit less than a tablespoon, maybe about a tablespoon. Hey, again, I'm just kind of going with...
Someone's asking if you already added the garlic.
The garlic is in there. It was in the same little or stainless steel bowl as the onion and the celery. Okay, so there you got the spices that are going to cook in here, release some of the flavors. We'll cover that up. Finish with the peppers. Add the peppers in there.
Can they add the garlic now? Or
Yes, you can add the garlic. If you didn't add it before, go ahead and add it now. If I was just cooking the onions by themselves, I wouldn't put the garlic in right away because as I did last week, as I said last week, the garlic does tend to burn. So, but because there was the carrots and the celery, there's quite a bit of moisture in there. It will not, the garlic won't burn. So I put it all together. And these are just rough. I'm not, trying to make sure that I have exactly the same cut. The peppers will break down fairly quickly in the chili anyway. So I don't need to, this is a nice dish because it's pretty relaxed. Doesn't have to look so pretty. The colors come together nicely in the pot, so I don't need to be so particular about the size of something like the peppers. Good. Yeah, Lily's waiting for scraps. Alright, so we got a nice smell of the vegetables and the spices coming together. I'm going to add the peppers. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Once again, I'm going to cover it up because I'm going to add the eggplant to this, which I have not cut up yet, and I should have done already. If your eggplant is ready to go ahead and add it now. I've washed the eggplant. Like I said, I'm going to peel it. Okay, you don't have to peel it, but I like the fact that it breaks down a little more. Okay, cut the bottom off and then just run your knife along. You can use a vegetable peeler if you like, but I cut melon this way, eggplants, okay, so the eggplant I'm going to cut it nice and small. Alright, like I said, I want this breaking down nicely into the chili. Okay, again, if you have larger pieces, it'll just be a little more chunky, but that's okay too. So go ahead, add your eggplant. Cut those two at the end. I don't think Lily likes raw eggplant. She doesn't seem to be going for that piece that just fell. This is actually a pretty small eggplant. Okay, you can use more if you like. but like I said, a lot of people aren't huge fans of eggplant, so I would start with a little bit. Next time you make it, if you want to make a little more, put a little more. Okay, almost there. Cubes of eggplants. They're going to go in now with the tomato, the canned tomato. Okay? So already you can see this is a lot of vegetables in here. Flavors, you can really smell the spices going. And I do have a feeling just by smelling at it that I might actually add a little more cumin to it. But now, canned tomato, if you have pureed tomato, that's fine too. Again, if it's chili, funky. So if you notice that your chili's a bit dry and you want it a little bit more liquidy, you can add some water. I would add maybe a little bit of beer, like some Guinness. That would add a nice flavor to the chili. I did bring up a beer just in case, but I think I like that consistency as it goes. And again, the vegetables will release some liquid. So I'm gonna let that cook now. Just let it break down. Turn it up to medium. Lid on. That's going to go for a little bit. What we can do now is we can drain the corn, the beans. Now I always use black beans in my chili. I love black beans, and I would maybe use kidney beans if I was using beef. But today I'm going to use chickpeas instead. Again, these are one of my go-tos in salads and as a side dish for dinner. I love chickpeas. So I'm going to use chickpeas, black beans, and a can of corn. So you can go ahead and drain those now. If you have, well, then you can just watch me do it. Or grab yourself a drink. I think it's time for a new can opener. Can of chickpeas draining, and can of corn, just regular. You can also actually, now that I think of it, you could use the liquid from the cans like we did with the rice a few weeks ago. I wouldn't necessarily use the corn liquid because it's sweet. It's sweetened usually, but the chickpea or black bean liquid you can use, and just let that drain. If you want to put it in another bowl just to maybe reserve some of the liquid to put in there after, you can do that too. Okay? It's good. Just going to give us a quick wipe here. Just make sure your chili's simmering away. Right? Give it a check and just see how it's going. Starting to bubble. There's some moisture. That'll be good once we add the beans.
Enrique says he's a bit late for dinner, but he wants to see what's cooking.
It's 12 o'clock in Spain right now, so probably not the best time to eat dinner. Okay, just a couple things I wanted to the next couple weeks I'm going to try to add a little different theme to the dinner. Next week I would like, since the kids, little guys are going to school and the older kids, teenagers, are going to be staying home, not going to high school, at least here in Quebec. Maybe some parents are going to work. Next week we'll have a cooking with your teenager dinner. So what I will do, Lucas, my 15-year-old son, will be cooking next week with me. So if you want to include a teenager at home, if you have, we'll make a nice, not too complex dinner that we can do together as a family, all right? And then I'm also going to throw in a date night dinner in there as well in May, where you can try to impress your significant other with a fancier dinner.
A loyal fan wants to know where your margarita is.
It's coming. It's probably Angie or Paul.
Nope. Mel.
I'm surprised.
It's Mel.
Cinco de Mayo. While the chili is simmering away, I thought we'd have some fun and make a margarita. So today I'm going to make a ginger frozen mango margarita. Okay, so I'm just going to I got the mango ready. Frozen ginger. Mango. So I have about 2 cups of mango. Some simple syrup, which I made earlier. This is just 1 part sugar, 1 part water. Right? There's just about 1/3 of a cup of simple syrup. I don't think I'm going to add all that. I'm just going to kind of maybe put half for now and see how it is. Tequila. I have pretty decent tequila. I'm going to add, we're going to make one for 3 here. So I'm going to put 3 shots in of tequila. I'm not worrying about being exact with my quantities.
Hey, I got a shout out too.
For love. Juice. I'm not going to use the knife that I use for the garlic. Right? Just be careful with that. The flavor of garlic really transfers. Juice of 1 lime. This is a nice juicy lime. And a little bit of grated ginger. Like I said a few weeks ago, probably better if I take the cover off the... Oh yeah, a little bit of ginger. I always keep my ginger.
Your dad says make it for 4, he'll be right over.
Ginger in the freezer. Actually, I think I'm going to have to add some orange juice to this. We're going to see how liquid is. Need some orange juice in there. I'll be right back. Check on your chili. All right, I'm back.
How much simple syrup did you put in?
I put in about 1/4 cup for now, and I might add a little more depending on how it is. I'm going to top it up with a cup of orange juice, because by the smell of it, I think it's going to need some orange juice. I can really smell the tequila. That's better. Good. Chili. Now would be a good time to add the beans. The vegetables should be breaking down. As you can see, it's a lot more liquidy. We can add the beans now. Beans, corn, and chickpeas. Now I said we're gonna have probably enough portions for 6. If there was any liquid left, you can add that. I think I will be adding a little bit of liquid to this, guys. So if you have an open beer, you can drop a little bit in there. If you you can just add water, that'll work just fine as well. Yeah, I wouldn't add much more tomato to this. Okay, that's going to need a little more liquid in there. So just maybe half a cup of beer to it. Let that cook down. As I mentioned with the optional toppings, what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to make 2 with cheese on top in the oven on broil. Chili is going to be almost ready, so I'm going to get the oven ready for broil on low. And the third one, for me, I'm just going to put no cheese, a little bit of lime, sour cream, and chopped green onion. Okay, I'm going to keep it nice and simple. You can do whatever toppings you like. If you have avocado and you want to use some avocado, you can make guacamole if you want, or just some nice chopped avocado on top. That would be really nice. But today we're going to put 2 with cheese, and one's going to have just the lime and green onion. So let's take a look at this margarita and see how it's doing here. Smells good. And I said for 3, so I'm going to just pour like that. Give it some time. Just a small one for the camera lady. Might have some here for Angie if she wants. Well, I don't know how this is going to be. This is my first time making this, so. It's really good. Very good. So if you want the recipe for that, I will post those quantities. You have about 3 good margaritas in there. Really nice, really tasty. You can use fresh mango as well, and then throw in ice cubes. We just happen to have frozen mango in the freezer. So now we do have one more thing to put into the chili at the very end, and that's chopped cilantro. So if you have not chopped your cilantro, go ahead and do that now while the chili is cooking. I put the stems in there as well. I like it has nice flavor, so put it all in. And the cilantro, again, if you put it in there too early, the flavor gets cooked right out of it. So keep it fresh. It's best when it's fresh. Just toss it in right before serving, and you get a really nice fresh flavor of the cilantro. So next week for that dinner with your kid, if you have a kid, and you want to make it, it's going to be a roasted chicken leg and thighs with mixed vegetables, all thrown in the same pot. It cooks in about 35-40 minutes. There'll be sweet potato, carrots, eggplant if you like in larger pieces. It's a really nice kind of one dish meal. You marinate it all before and we throw it in. So that's what we're going to do next week. As usual, I will post the ingredients on Sunday or Monday. Give you guys enough time to go. Also, the last 3 weeks, the videos have been uploaded to YouTube, okay, at the Hungry Flight Attendant. So you can go on there, and if you're not on Facebook, if you're watching this, then you're on Facebook, obviously. If you want to look at it, look for those videos. They are on YouTube.
Enrique says consider having dinner again. It looks great.
Just gonna see how the carrots are. I have not added salt yet. So this got a little bit of heat from that chipotle. It's not super hot. Could use a little more cumin, so I will grind up a little more, and it definitely needs salt. So if you haven't tasted your chili, taste it now. I'm gonna put about a little bit of a teaspoon and then give it a taste. Okay? Again, salt a little bit at a time. I'm gonna add a little more cumin to mine. If you like the flavor of cumin and you really like that strong, nice pungent flavor, you can add more to it. It does come out a little better when you cook it with the onions and garlic, but it'll still add some flavor to your chili. So I'm gonna do that with mine. If you're happy with the way yours tastes, after salting it, give it a taste. Then it's pretty much ready to go. You can cook it a little longer if you want those vegetables to break down. If you like the vegetables a little more crunchy, then you can keep them as it is. Give this one more taste. You don't even see the eggplant. So I've added a vegetable to this chili that's pretty much, you hardly even notice it, right? And that's the one thing, you know, a lot of people don't like it because it's kind of mushy, or it can be mushy if it's not cooked really thin, or if you're grilling it. But here we are in a chili and it's almost not there. So it's a good vegetable to add to these types of dishes. I'm going to try to get a piece with the eggplant in there. I can't even find it. So about a teaspoon of salt, a little bit more I think I put in there. Really brings up the flavor of the spices. The vegetables are nice, they're cooked down. We're just about ready to serve. At this point here, you can wait if you'd like. Oh. Let's try it again. So I have these French onion soup bowls that I use for chili. So I can put them in there, cover it with cheese, and it's good to go. You don't have to wait for these to see because it's pretty much all it is, but I will plate the other bowl how I'm going to eat it. A little bit of sour cream. And your chili is just about ready. I don't want to neglect my margarita. That's definitely a do-over. So, chili's going to plates. Now that it's cooked, I'm going to turn it off, add the cilantro, I love the smell of the cilantro, it's wonderful. So here's how my bowl is going to look tonight. Once again, please, if you have a chance and if you remember, with the hashtag to Cooking with Phil or Cooking Together, you can post a picture of you and your family eating this meal or just the finished product. Not done yet. Over here. little lime wedge. Little green onion. Little sour cream. We'll move it away from these vegetable scraps. And there's a nice vegetarian chili with sour cream, lime wedge, and a little green onion on top for tonight's dinner. I hope you guys enjoyed that chili, vegetarian chili tonight. Like I said, please post your picture if you don't mind. Next week we'll be doing a roast chicken dinner. And thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoy your dinner as much as I enjoyed cooking it with you. Have a great evening.